I've been keeping journals for months now, trying to fill in the gaps in my memory, but the more I write, the less I understand. Headaches that split my skull, blackouts that last hours or days, waking in alleys or strange apartments with bruises on my hands, scratches on my arms, a shirt I don't remember putting on. I told myself it was stress, university, deadlines, part-time work, but then the whispers started. Not in my ears, but in my thoughts, pressing at the edges of my mind. Urges I don't recognize, movements I didn't make, and the faces, always screaming, always bloodied, always mine to blame. I see a therapist now. I sit across from her, explaining fragments, anxiety, dissociation, brief blackouts. I tell her about the headaches, the blurred shadows in the corners of my vision, the tremor in my hands when I try to remember. She listens patiently, nodding, writing in her notebook, her calm smile a tether I cling to. But the shadows in my mind don't stay tethered. They reach out, and I feel them steering me. Sometimes I wake somewhere strange, covered in dirt or blood, a blade in my hand, and I don't know whose blood it is. I don't know what I've done. The fragments come in flashes. A scream on a quiet street. A body crumpled in a stairwell. The scent of iron. I see myself through a haze. Tall, pale, deliberate. My hands steady. My face calm. And then the blackout. I try to rationalize it. You weren't there, I tell myself. You didn't do this. But the evidence whispers back. Scratches on my arms, bruises on my wrists, the smell of disinfectant or blood lingering in my apartment. Sometimes I find scraps of news clippings I don't remember clipping. Sometimes I see my handwriting on envelopes addressed to people I don't recall knowing. And the police. They've questioned me, but never suspected me. I am the observer, the responsible one. The world is blind to the truth hidden within me. Therapy sessions are my lifeline, my mirror to sanity. I come in and recount what I can, fragments of thought and feeling, nightmares, anxiety attacks, the creeping dread of being something I can't control. And every session, she encourages me to speak, to open up, to try and remember. Today is different. The memories are sharper. They claw through the fog, dragging the screams with them. I tell her about a man. No, a woman. I was there. I remember fragments of their eyes, their wide, terrified mouth. I tell her about the streets, the alleyways, the wet sound that made my stomach twist, the hands I can't believe were mine. I don't know why, but I think I killed them. All of them. I think it was me, I say. My voice shakes, my hands tremble. I feel a chill, like I've been watching myself from afar, powerless to stop what I've done. The therapist nods, her expression calm, patient.
Thank you for sharing that. That was very brave,
she says softly. Relief washes over me. I think maybe I'm not so alone. Maybe this is a breakthrough. Then I begin recounting more details I never thought I'd remember. The street corner where one of them fell, the sound of someone else's scream in my throat, the metallic tang of blood on my tongue, the knife that felt heavier than it should, my own memories spilling out like a river I cannot dam. I don't understand why I remember these things, I whisper. Why? Why can't I stop them? Why can't I remember being me? Why do I see myself doing it? She leans back slightly, still calm.
Thank you,
she repeats, her voice soft, warm, deliberate.
Thank you for sharing. Now the search can finally be called off.
I blink, confused. What does she mean? Relief? Shock? Horror? My brain refuses to process. And then, the door bursts open. Boots clatter. Handcuffs rattle. Officers flood in, guns drawn, commanding me to stay still. "You're under arrest for multiple counts of murder," one shouts. I stare at them, my mouth dry, mind blank. The fragments align, the whispers stop, the blackouts stop. Everything I had been running from, trying to explain away, hiding from myself, every disappearance, every body, every scream, it was all me. My therapist watches, calm, neutral, a small smile on her face.
Thank you for speaking the truth. It was important. Now the world knows, and it can stop.
I try to speak, to deny, to run, but it's too late. The evidence of me, the memories, the fragments, the blackouts, they're mine. I am him. The murders were mine, and I have finally remembered. I thought it was going to be easy money. Just a couple of weeks, a few forms to sign, and a tidy sum in my account. University tuition waits for no one, and my part-time job barely covered rent. When I saw the flyer for the clinical trial study, healthy volunteers needed, I didn't hesitate. The building looked ordinary enough. Glass doors, sterile white walls, the faint antiseptic smell that always makes you feel both clean and sick at the same time. They greeted me warmly, handed me a clipboard, and explained the schedule. Blood draws, questionnaires, a few non-invasive monitoring tests. Easy, they said. I was shown to my room, a small cell-like space with a cot, a desk, and a locker. They assured me I'd be safe, monitored, and compensated generously. For the first day, it was all mundane. Blood pressure, heart rate, the usual. I began to relax. Then came the others. Patients brought in at night, some restrained, some screaming. I thought it was just part of the protocol, maybe aggressive volunteers, or people with unexpected conditions. But then I noticed the bruises, the vacant eyes. One man begged me to leave, to run. "They take you. They take everything," he whispered before the guards dragged him away. I wanted to tell someone, but my phone was confiscated. My ID too. I realized with a sinking pit in my stomach that I had signed away more than just 2 weeks. I had signed away my freedom. The nights were the worst. They came for the patients in the middle of the darkness, surgical masks gleaming under bright lights. I could hear the screams, the metal scraping against bone, the wet, sickening sounds that made my stomach heave. One night, I peeked through the crack in my door and saw it. A team of technicians calmly harvesting organs. Hearts, kidneys, even livers, tubes, trays, and instruments gleaming like trophies. The patients didn't survive the process. I couldn't unsee it. I tried to pretend it wasn't happening. I focused on the tests they ran on me during the day, the vitals, the questionnaires. But every night, the screams came closer. The smell of antiseptic, mixed with coppery blood, creeping into my room. On the third night, they came for me. They sedated me with an injection before I could react. I woke, strapped to a table, lights blinding, the metallic scent overpowering. One of the technicians leaned over me, their eyes cold behind the mask. "You'll do fine," they said. I tried to scream, but the tube in my mouth muffled it. I don't know how long I was out, but when I woke again, I was in a different room. Walls painted in stark white, instruments lined up, trays ready. They were preparing for the next stage. I realized then that I was not just a participant, I was a target. Panic seized me. I struggled, kicked, screamed, but the restraints held firm. I watched the others through a small window, empty trays where they had once lain. Their lives were gone, their bodies harvested, discarded. Some instinct in me snapped. I stopped fighting with brute force and listened instead. Patterns in the guards' footsteps, the timing of the sedatives, the blind spots in the cameras. When the doors opened, I bolted, sprinting down long, sterile corridors, past rooms where screams echoed and surgical instruments glinted. I grabbed a set of keys from a distracted technician, unlocking doors as I ran. Finally, I found an exit. A heavy metal door leading to the back of the building. I could see the streetlights, the night air waiting like a promise. I pushed, yanked, and stumbled into the alley. I didn't look back. I ran through the city, rain mixing with sweat on my face, adrenaline pushing me past exhaustion. I didn't stop until I reached a police station. The officers barely believed me at first, thinking it a hallucination. But the way I described the layout, the rooms, the instruments, their faces changed. They promised me they'd investigate. I don't know if anyone will survive that place. I don't even know if I've truly escaped. Every night I dream of the fluorescent lights, the tables, the cold instruments, the slick, wet sound of what they took from the others. I wake screaming, drenched, and I know one day they might come for me again, because signing that contract was more than money. It was a ticket to their slaughterhouse, and my face was on the list. I never thought I'd fear myself. Not in mirrors, not in puddles, not even in the shadows of my own apartment. But last night changed everything. It began with the disappearances. At first, just headlines. Missing teenagers, a jogger dragged into the darkness, a woman's muffled screams echoing down empty streets. Our neighborhood was quiet, familiar, but something was hunting at night. Precise, patient, cruel. I couldn't ignore it. Police were stumped. Neighbors whispered, doors bolted, curtains drawn, shadows lengthened unnaturally. I set up a camera in the alley behind my house, a simple motion-activated DSLR. I needed to know. When I checked the footage the next morning, I almost vomited. The figure was a shadow at first, moving between dumpsters. But as the light from the street lamps brushed it, I recognized every detail. My jacket, my jeans, the shape of my shoulders, then the face. My face. It moved like me, faster and smoother than I ever could. Its hands, my hands, clutched something, pressed down, twisted, and lifted again. Muffled screams filled the night. And then it smiled. A predator's smile. My smile, but hollow, wrong, and alive with malice. I dropped the camera. I told myself it was a hallucination, a trick of sleep deprivation. But deep down, I knew. The next night, I stayed awake, knife in hand, eyes on the alley. Around midnight, I heard it. Footsteps, soft, measured, matching my own heartbeat. I froze. My own steps, my own rhythm. It appeared, emerging from the darkness. Perfectly me. Every detail identical, except the eyes. Dark, sharp, hungry. It tilted its head, studying me. Smiling, I ran. It mirrored me immediately, step for step, turn for turn. I darted down streets, through alleyways, hoping for safety in motion, but the city became a trap. Every corner, every doorway, I turned, and it was there. Behind lampposts, in the shadow of dumpsters, sliding along walls with that impossible grace. I stumbled into my apartment building, slamming the door behind me. I locked every lock, bolted the deadbolt, but even inside I felt it. Its presence pressed against the walls, leaning in through the seams, slipping past the smallest cracks. I began noticing changes. Objects moved. My keys on the counter rearranged themselves. My shoes shifted. The camera I had used, the one that captured it the first night, was now facing me from the living room floor, recording, though I hadn't touched it. Then the whispers began. At first, faint, just below hearing. "Come closer. Let's be together. You'll see." Then louder, clearer, my voice, calling my own name, mocking me. "You can't hide. You're already gone." I stopped looking in mirrors. Even the reflection in the microwave frightened me. Every glass surface seemed to twist my face, elongate my features, widen my mouth in that same predator's grin I had seen in the footage. Last night, I woke to the sound of the bedroom door creaking. I didn't breathe. The figure was there, leaning against the frame, mimicking my posture. I couldn't tell where I ended, and it began. It whispered memories, secrets, things only I knew. It had studied me perfectly, learned me. I tried to leave. The front door was gone, or maybe it had never been there. Hallways twisted impossibly, and I found myself back in the bedroom, knife shaking in my hand. The figure smiled wider, revealing teeth sharper than mine, perfect copies of my own, in shape but dripping with something wet and dark. It stepped closer, and I realized it didn't need to touch me to terrify me. Its presence alone pressed down on my chest, squeezed the air from my lungs. Every instinct screamed to run, but there was no place left to go. I can't sleep anymore. I can't trust my own reflection. I can't even trust my own memory, because when I close my eyes, I see it. Me, doing things I could never imagine, smiling, laughing, thriving on terror. I write this now because I know it will find me eventually. It's patient, perfectly patient, waiting for me to falter, to blink, to think I can hide. And when it finally takes me, I fear it won't just kill me. I fear it will replace me completely. It won't leave a body. It won't leave a witness. It will be me. And everyone will believe it is.